The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
Welcome to the Dogish podcast, the podcast dedicated to dog parents and the topics, events, and personalities affecting their lives. My name is Sylvia West, dog mom and pet expert at Dog Up in This Bitch. And with me, as always, is my beautiful, gorgeous co-host, Jasen Arias of Forever USA, a photography experience. How are you today, Jasen?
I'm doing pretty good. With that kind of intro, maybe I should do the podcast from the cars all the time.
I'm just saying, like, this backdrop is working for your complexion, and vacation looks good on you, my friend.
Yeah, it's wraparound lighting.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, and thank you for taking time out of your mini getaway to be on the show today. We have Lindsey Wolko from the Center for Pet Safety with us. And I think this was one of the episodes where, like, Jasen, your face was literally like mind blown the whole time.
This was a whole new world that I really didn't have that much exposure to. Like, I knew pet harnesses existed, obviously, and you had to make the decision on whether you were going to use one or not use one. But the eye-opening experience that I had on this was pretty depthful.
Yeah, so we're excited to get into it. And as Lindsey says at the end of our show, when you know better, you do better. So let's learn about pet safety. Let's get into it. Good morning, everybody. Lindsey, I am literally the most excited dog nerd in the world to have a representative from the Center for Pet Safety on the podcast this morning. I have so many questions, and I'm really excited to educate our listeners with everything that you guys are doing over there at the Center for Pet Safety. Jasen, this is a whole new world for Jasen.
Yeah. When Sylvia was telling me about this, I could hear her excitement, and at the same time, I had questions, but like, she was just amped up over this. So I can't wait to learn about this too.
This is like one of the wild and wonderful, like, little trails that I get to lead Jasen down as a dog dad, that he's like, never in my X years of dog ownership would I have ever thought of this. So, Lindsey, why don't you just tell our listeners a little bit about what the Center for Pet Safety is and what you guys have done. And I think you said you've got some exciting stuff that you're pivoting towards now. So just kind of like let our listeners know what it is you do.
Well, Center for Pet Safety was founded about 2011, I think, based on an incident I had with my dog Maggie in 2004. So it took a while for it to come to fruition. But I had purchased, when Maggie came to live with me, I had purchased a new harness from our local big box retail store because she was walking all over the car, and I found myself paying more attention to her than what was in front of me. Okay. So I bought a harness, I put her in the harness. A few months later, I had to slam on the brakes to avoid a crash, and Maggie sailed headfirst into the back of the front seat. And she was not killed. She was injured. She fully recovered eventually, but it really made me sit back and go, well, this product was marketed to me to say it would protect my dog and it would protect me if we had a crash. So is this really true, or is this just marketing spin?
Okay, so can I back up for a sec? Because I want to make sure that I understand all of this. And so you started this, the Center for Pet Safety, just in 2004. So this is kind of your brainchild and where you've grown it from.
2011.
Okay. And then, so you had bought a harness for Maggie. And what kind of dog is Maggie?
Maggie was an English Cocker Spaniel. Okay.
So a small, medium dog. Is that right?
Medium size, yeah.
Yeah. And she was in the back seat, and she was wearing the harness, and not.
This is supposed to be like
You just had to step on the brakes really quickly, And even though she was wearing the safety harness and all of that, she was still injured when she hit the back of the front seat.
Yes.
Okay.
We were not in a crash. But it's one of those, sudden you have to slam on the brakes moments when you're in the, we've all experienced.
I'm in LA, so like every day of my life.
Yeah. So that's really kind of where we are, or how we started. I have some new puppies in the other room, so I apologize if they make a lot of noise.
We always hear dogs barking.
Okay. It wouldn't be a Dogish podcast if there wasn't a dog barking in the background.
Oh, but they play. It's been so much fun. But for CPS, getting back to that, we did a pilot study. I arranged to do a pilot study in 2010, 2011, kind of spanned over the period of time as we were trying to figure out what to do. And we looked at tons of harnesses. We brought in all these different harnesses from different brands, looked at all the marketing that was behind them. Some of them claimed they were crash tested. Some of them just made claims of safety. We didn't know. So we picked the ones, I have a group of engineers we work with. And we picked the ones we thought would be the best, give the best protection, not only to the pet, but also to me, the driver, or kids or family members in the car.
Yeah, I have to say, this is something that, like, not to interrupt you, but I have to talk to my clients all the time about, because I'm like, buckling your dog into your car, it's not only about your dog. If we're talking about Maggie and she's a medium-sized dog, that's 30 pounds of body weight just kind of like hanging out in your back seat. Mm-hmm. That's dangerous for anybody.
Right. Yeah, it's like putting a bowling ball in the back of your car and having it fly forward. I mean, it really is that powerful. But we don't want to scare pet owners. We want to give them solutions. So that's where the studies have come in. We did the pilot study that illuminated a huge issue with the industry, the pet products industry. They rely heavily on marketing spin. They can tell you anything they want to without any scrutiny. It is, unfortunately, a very highly unregulated industry. So that's one of the reasons we felt it was important to start an organization like ours. We work on your behalf as a pet owner. We want to ensure the safety of products, not just for the vehicle, but dog toys and foods and all sorts of other things that we get reports about always. But the dog travel side of things is critically important to protect you and your family members, as well as your pet.
I think that's a perfect place to take a quick break. More on this when we get back.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
So you kind of closed right there with a statement. So you don't, it's not, this isn't, when you say Center for Pet Safety, this isn't just, we're not just talking seatbelts at this point. You mentioned like food and toys. So anything that could have a positive or negative health impact on our fur kids, you guys are researching that stuff?
So we have an intake program where we request pet owners who have had pets injured or killed by products to report it to us. So we'll take that information in. Based on those reports, we can target what areas need to be focused on immediately. So we have many areas that we need to target. I think the number one focus area outside of our travel work, because we're the only ones really doing that space right now, are pet toys. We have been inundated over the past 6 months with reports of pet toys. So that's going to be one of our focus areas this year.
Wow. And like, just to be clear for our listeners, to, you know, because many of them probably are not informed of the Center for Pet Safety. I know when I talk about it with my clients, they're like, the what? I'm like, yeah, they, you know, one of the things when we're talking about, just for our listeners, vehicle safety, Lindsey's organization is actually doing like crash tests for dogs. Like, you can find these videos online where they put a dummy dog in the back seat of a car in a, you know, so-called crash tested or vehicle safety equipment. And they test this equipment. They literally put it to the test and actually crash test it for you to see if it's legitimately doing what it says it does. Does that describe it pretty well, Lindsey?
Yeah, so we worked with a NASA engineer. He volunteered some time with us because we'd started with a test dog when we first did the pilot study, and we knew we needed something that was going to be more crash resistant. So we worked with a NASA engineer. We redeveloped our dog. We've got our V2 version. We're working with biomechanical engineers at the university level now, working to improve our test dogs and get our V3 version going. But we have the dogs that simulate your actual dog. They're properly weighted. We put fur jackets on them so pet owners can relate to it. Like, this could be my dog. Mm-hmm. Then we do the same type of testing that they do for child safety seats. So we use their same crash conditions. We evaluate the products differently, obviously, because these are not child safety seats. But we do grade their performance. So it's an apples to apples comparison for pet owners. We do harnesses, crates, carriers. We're announcing a new booster seat protocol here soon. Again, we've got lots of things in play in the background that we will bring to light here in the near future. But that's exactly what we do, is we have to scientifically test the products to ensure that they are safe. And then we follow up again with the manufacturers after they're certified. And we make sure that the products maintain, the brands are maintaining their quality control and that the product will continue to perform.
So what kind of crashes are we talking about? Like the ones where you see like they literally are just crashing into a wall and there's slow motion cameras, all that kind of stuff?
Well, we use MGA Research. They are an independent third party. They're one of the few independent third party labs out there. We have our test dogs housed at the lab here in Virginia, and we put them on the sleds that they use for the child safety seats. So they'll strap like they do for NHTSA or Department of Transportation. If you've ever seen those crash tests, that's exactly the type of work we do.
Gotcha. Okay, so these are like on the sled. So those are the ones that run on the track, and then this is like really high tech stuff. Like this isn't just, hey, we had a YouTube channel and got some old cars and went in our backyard and ran into stuff.
No, we need our organization to, the work we do is highly legitimate and ethical, and it's been crazy how pet owners have perceived it once they understand our mission. So we're very, very hopeful that we can reach more people, and we can do that through programs like yours.
Okay, so jumping just straight to the big question, I'm assuming that you guys have a website that we can go and like review every product that we've ever thought about buying, or is it like certain companies, like as far as like harnesses at this point and stuff like that? Like, we did studies. A Subaru of America sponsored our work back in 2013 and 15, where we did studies to collect data to start the first safety protocols for the products, right? So centerforpetsafety.org is where pet owners would go so they can look at the products that are currently available on the market that we have tested. And then they want to go to a CPS certified list.
And actually see if they're crash tested, because sometimes, and this is true. And I've done this myself because I'm very well of CPS, and I buy products off the approved list because I've seen the crash tests and I know what it looks like when a product catastrophically fails, which is how CPS puts it, as like catastrophic failure. That's a horrible phrase. Like if you think about your dog, like I think about it because look, here on the Dogish podcast, we always talk about dog moms and dog dads being legitimate parents, and like really looking at our pets as children. My dogs are my kids. And so if I was thinking about buying a child safety seat for my kiddo, like an actual human baby, I would make damn sure that thing was current, up to date. Like I wouldn't be using my parents' one from the 80s, because we would never think of doing it. It's a nightmare. So if I think of putting my dog in a harness that has catastrophically failed, a crash tested, I think your guys' crash tests are usually at like 35 miles per hour.
About 30 miles an hour, yes.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like much, but it's more powerful.
I drive faster than that on the highway every single day with my dogs in the car. So if this harness can't even make a 35 mile per hour accident without catastrophic failure, how do I put my animal in that comfortably? I can't anymore. So I personally always check CPS to see the validity of any product, because you can go on Amazon today and you can type in crash tested seatbelt harness for my dog and find hundreds of products, and maybe 5 of those are actually on the CPS website as certified and actually crash tested. So yeah, the unregulation of marketing is just nuts to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like you were saying, if you were a parent and you went to buy a child seat for your kid, those products have oversight. They're federally regulated. They have to meet specific things, or meet specific performance requirements. Pet products don't. They can market anything they want to and tell you it's the safest, and they don't have to prove it to you. They want your money. It's really frustrating.
You just take their word for it.
Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned something earlier, and I just want to kind of re-highlight it for our listeners out there who aren't total dog nerds. And I'm looking at Jasen's face right now, and he's like, so when we talk about a 30 mile per hour accident, you said something that really struck with me because I didn't realize it, but can you just explain to me how powerful that is? Like how many, talk to the people about the pounds of pressure, et cetera. Like let them know what that's about.
Well, to put it in generalized terms, the engineers, because I'm not an engineer myself, right? So we engage consulting engineers. We've worked with them for 10 years as of this year. I'm like, how can we explain the force of this to the pet owner so they understand how violent a test this is? Because 30 miles an hour doesn't sound like much. But if you were driving 30 miles an hour into a brick wall and that wall does not move, right? So you get that force and it goes back into the vehicle, there's a problem. I mean, that's a huge explosive test. So it is far more rigorous than, you know, the industry's happy to market that they're crash tested to these things or to these rates. But, you know, we've heard from a lot of them, can you reduce the speed? Can you reduce the force? It's like, no, this is what you're marketing to.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's nuts.
Have you ever hit your shin into a coffee table? That's like a half mile an hour.
It hurts though, doesn't it? Yeah.
So true.
I think we get used to driving at these like high rates of speed that we don't really understand how fast that is going. But I mean, just think of like, it's the same forces if you hit your shin on something or you bump into a door or like, and you're just barely moving at that. And then I remember I may or may not have been in a driving course from speeding at one point in my driving career, but I was told
neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah. I think the little factoid is that most of our accidents that we have happen within 3 miles of our home.
3 to 5. I think it's 5, but yeah.
Like if you think about that, you're not driving on the freeway during those 3 miles. Most of the time it's in your neighborhoods when you're feeling overly comfortable and you've got this and you know the road's by the back of your hand. And then there just ends up being that car that drove before they were supposed to, or that you missed it or whatever it is. So 30 miles an hour seems pretty legitimate to me.
Yeah, that's what the feds do. So, you know, we're following their lead.
So that's what regular child car seats are tested at as well?
Department of Transportation, yeah. And so I think they're upping the speed now or the force. But for where we are with the pet industry, it's attainable. It's a good place to start. And then we'll tighten this as we learn more and as we get better performance from the brands. It is just very, very challenging to get the participation levels we want.
So what are
products? So wait, hold on really quickly. So you're telling me like products are like, no, we don't want to actually be tested. We want to say we're tested, but don't actually test us.
That's exactly what I say. Yes. Yep. It is very, very challenging to get, they're scared that they're going to fail our testing. And because they haven't done the due diligence, they like to use their marketing claims.
Wow. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. Jasen, we're going to come back with your question.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
Okay. No, so you were actually leading into the same question I had, Sylvia, was the company's got to have kind of a love-hate relationship with you.
Yeah. We do a lot of knowledge sharing with brands that are interested in improving their products. There are many of them that have just turned tail and run the other direction. And we know the brands. I've met with most of the leadership of every brand out there, international brands, including those. So, yeah, some of them who are willing to do the due diligence and put their money where their mouth is, they end up succeeding. And we have been inundated over the last 6 months with testing of pet products, usually smaller boutique style brands instead of the big ones that are owned by large corporations. But yeah,
those corporations.
Can businesses get like an overall business? Like, I guess if I was in the toy business or the harness business, I know you rate individual items, but as a business, I would also like to be like, okay, our average rating here is this. So maybe not all of our toys are, 5 stars or whatever it is, but at least it's a reputable company. Like, that would seem to me like a great place to start with marketing for safety. Do you guys have anything like that?
We don't at this time. It doesn't mean that we won't at some point in the future. We do need to expand our standards for a breadth of product classes. So like I said, we're going to look at, we've got the travel products taken care of. We need to look at pet toys. We need to look at collars, leashes, walking harnesses. There are just so many classes that we just need to touch on and go, finalize their work and publish a standard that we can work to.
I'm like, not to beat a dead horse, but when we're talking about vehicle safety, do you know, because it's not federally regulated, obviously, but can you tell us how many states even have actual restraint laws? Like, there are no restraint laws in California. There's nothing that says I even have to have my animal buckled in a car, which is mind-blowing to me, because I'm like, it's a distraction. The furthest that California goes is they say your dog can't be on your lap, but that doesn't mean that my dog can't be in the seat next to me, bouncing around my back seat, me being like, no, stop it. Like, there's no regulation here in this state that says your dog needs to be secured in your vehicle while it's in motion. Do you know how many states do have regulation like that?
We have heard many states, propose legislation, but largely the distracted driving laws of each jurisdiction apply. So if your pet is distracting you, or if, an officer sees that your pet's climbing all over you while you're driving, you can be pulled over and ticketed under the distracted driving laws. So whether your state has or doesn't have a law for pets, pet specific, you can be ticketed one way or the other.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what kind of product, like, is there anything in particular, without having to necessarily call out names of a specific company, is there a product line that you've seen, like, most of the time we feel that these are safe, but across the board, this is just a product that we shouldn't be buying for our dogs?
There is one brand that comes to mind, which I won't mention, but we have done test upon test upon test, various products that they market. And they consistently fail testing, even though they are promoting that they are crash tested.
And so let's see, how could our listeners figure out who that is?
You go to the Center for Pet Safety and you watch the videos and you watch the product catastrophically fail. They just explode. Like it's crazy. You watch the harness, like just
multiple products, right? So we're not just talking like, hey, there was this one product. And the question that I was actually asking is like, hey, all of these, so I'm not going to say harnesses, like harnesses are designed for safety, but maybe it's like all of this kind of ball. There's 9 different companies that make this type of toy or this type of harness. And generally speaking, it's not a good harness. You should look at a different product type somewhere else. Does that make sense?
It does. So we know from, if we're talking harnesses, we'll just stick with that topic. From a harness perspective, we know what pet owners should look for, whether or not it's been crash tested, just to help prevent distraction. You don't want long extension tethers. You want something that's going to fully restrain the dog. And that's one of the reasons, we started our CPS certified list in 2014 so that we could provide pet owners the evidence and the names of brands that have passed the testing. Because it's not that difficult when in the grand scheme of things, but these are very challenging tests for an industry that's never tested their products in the past. So we look to the CPS certified list, and that's where we point our pet owners to say, look, these products have passed testing, and we will be expanding that list in the near future. So just keep an eye on it. And, if you don't like one of the brands that's up there, there'll be options coming soon.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you said the ones that typically don't do well, it sounded like the ones that have like a long tether that really are designed to keep your animal from ejecting out of the car, but it's not going to help it in the car. Is that right?
The tethers prevent the dog from climbing on your lap as the driver.
Okay.
It will not necessarily prevent the dog from ejecting from the vehicle.
Gotcha. And so the fully restrained ones, those are the ones that are going to be.
That sounds horrifying. Just hear you say that. It will not prevent your dog from ejecting from a vehicle. Sorry. It's like crazy wording. Go ahead, Jason. Continue.
No, it's good. So then the ones that are more suggested would be they keep them tighter to the seat. And so,
yes. If you think about when we wear a seatbelt, we're strapped in, we can't move anywhere.
Right.
So the seatbelts that are worthy of attention are those that follow that same principle. So your dog can sit up, can lay down comfortably, but it can't move side to side. You don't want your dog sticking its head out the window. You don't want the dog pacing across the back seat. And pet owners have been largely conditioned to want to keep their dogs free and easy in the car, thinking they're more comfortable, but they don't understand the dangers of allowing that type of behavior.
See, so much of this is hard for me to and when I even told Sylvia about this when we knew you were coming on, because there were certain things that I don't want to say that I'm looking for a loophole to keep to increase the chance that something that could happen to one of my dogs. But at the same time, I'm starting to sound old, but like being raised in the 70s, the dogs rode in the back of the truck all the time. The kids rode in the back of the truck all the time. And now I'm trying to envision a 80-pound lab or 130-pound Great Dane or whatever it is, how that logistically works And in my brain, it almost sounds like we're trying to say either you have a dog that can be restrained and is comfortable with that, or you can't travel with your dog. And maybe that's okay. I'm just trying to work that through in my head.
Well, if I can, Lindsay, can I field this one? As a behavior trainer, you can train your dog to do anything. I've trained many dogs to sit comfortably in crash tested harnesses in the back seat, and they get used to being restrained. And to your point, like, yeah, I used to ride in the back of my mom's truck, not in the 80s and the 90s. You know, there are laws that say you can't do that. That doesn't mean that you can make the human choice to put yourself in that position and or to choose to put your children in that position. But at the end of the day, your dog doesn't have the choice to say, hey, excuse me, I would like to not be in the back of this pickup truck because it scares me and I'm going to jump out. And if you have me tethered on one side, I'm going to strangle myself, which happens all the time. And or you have dogs on the side of the highway that are dead because they leapt out of the back of the truck. That's a law now in California. Your dogs can't ride in the back of a truck untethered, and they have to be tethered on both sides.
I'm not saying,
but I'm just saying, like,
what I'm proposing. Sure. We should just have
no.
I guess
I agree, but to your point is absolutely and that's the point that I think that Lindsay and I are really getting at. Is like, there is no regulation. There's nothing that says you have to do this for your animal, but for the safety of you and your family, an 80-pound lab in the back of your vehicle in a 30-pound accident is not 80 pounds anymore. That's like 600 to 1,000 pounds of pressure flying through your vehicle. Is that safe for your kids? Is that safe for you? Like, already you're in a car accident. You're in danger because you're in a vehicle accident. And now you've further endangered yourself and your family with 1,000 pounds flying through your vehicle at the same time. Is that a choice you want to make? And I think that's the whole purpose of the CPS, is like, people don't think about this and they don't know about this. It's challenging the way that we think about. We didn't, in the 50s, dude, your parent went like this across your lap because cars didn't have seatbelts. And then we were like, wait a second, that's not right. We should buckle everybody up. And then we were like, wait a second, that's not enough. We need airbags. Wait a second, that's not enough. We need side airbags. Like, we keep improving safety for humans and we're not improving safety for animals. And I think that's where I get really passionate.
Sounds like CPS is.
Exactly.
You know, we've received, so to your question earlier, Jason, it's when you know better, you do better. And that's one of our, things that we tell, not only the brands we work with, but also, every pet owner we counsel. So now that you're educated, now you understand, right? We still get reports in, and it's devastating. And I don't want to go down a dark topic here on your podcast, but, unrestrained dogs, if you've got a 75-pound, 80-pound lab in the back and you are in a crash, that dog is going into the back of your seat and it will crush you against the steering wheel. We have received many unfortunate reports of human fatalities because of a projectile dog. And there is a way to prevent it. And so that's what we're trying to do, is just educate pet owners to say, look, you understand the risks now. It's your choice to make. But, if something bad happens, at least, we give you options.
So on that,
we're going to take a quick break right there.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online, you can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at fenixmedia.us.
We're back.
Okay, so furthering down like the education line, there was you slipped in a little bit that you're testing harnesses, you're testing cages, you're testing crates, you're testing all these things. So what are some other alternatives there? Because Sylvia, I know that you mentioned like, okay, we can train and we can do this, but okay, so let's say we've just got done listening to this podcast and now I'm terrified to put my lab completely unrestrained in the back seat. What are some other like forward steps that we can do? Like, are crates and cages going to help at all? Like, I know that there's ways to restrain those to the back seat, and that still gives your animal a little bit of room to kind of like shift and move, and maybe there's more animals that are more comfortable in cages. Like, what are some other options I got?
So, like I said, we have the CPS certified list, okay. And we have crates, carriers, harnesses, and we will hopefully have booster seats coming up soon. Cages, no, you don't want to use a cage in the car. So we've done, investigative testing, because a lot of people put them in and they're securing them with bungee type cords or elastic bands and saying, oh, this is good, that's great. Well, we know from our work that cage will shatter if you are in a crash.
Okay,
catastrophically fail.
Like those like fold up ones that they get all collapsed and you can put them away and then you unfold them and they pop out. So yeah, cages are off the list. Okay.
Yep. Cages are off the list. Soft crates are off the list. The ones that are engineered for success, like we've got 2 right now on our list. We've got the Gunner Kennels and we've got Lucky Duck. I think they've got their intermediate up there. These are formidable products. If you look at those and compare them to one of those cages or a soft crate, you will immediately understand the difference in the product quality and the work and the research that went behind the product development for those.
Yeah, the Gunner Kennels are nuts. I just stumbled upon those on the interwebs the other day, and I was like, "Whoa!" They like strap them to the back of pickup trucks for hunting dogs. Crazy.
Gunner Kennels is ahead of the pack when it comes
massive
to
kennels.
the safety. And then we do have a new brand and possibly another that will be added to our list coming up soon. So that'll give pet owners more choices. It's just, this is an apples to apples. So a five-star rating is a 5-star rating, whether regardless of the brand. Sure. But at least you as the pet owner can come to our website and say, all right, what options have passed testing? I will pick and choose from those. And again, with crates, with the gunners and the Lucky Ducks, we recommend that you secure them to your vehicle with the strength rated anchor straps. Those are tested as part of the work that we do, as part of the certification. So they are as critically important as the structural integrity of that crate.
Right.
So, and just to shed some light, just because a dog is being restrained in a harness doesn't mean they can't move. I have my board and train. I just got him set up with a crash tested seatbelt harness, and seatbelt goes through the harness just like it would across my body. He can still stand up. He can still lay down. He can sit up and look out the window if there's something there. It's not like he's pinned to a chair, but he's restrained. He's not going to be wandering back. There's no reason why your dog needs to walk around in your back seat. That's a weird human thing where we're they need to be free. They're okay to be laying down for a couple of hours in the back seat. They sleep 19 hours a day. They can sleep on the car ride. And I have a couple of soft carriers because my dogs are both under 15 pounds. So they actually need to be in an enclosed carrier, according to CPS research. So they're in crash tested little soft carriers that buckle in, and the seatbelt goes through them, and they're secured. And, so when I get in an accident, my seatbelts will lock, and they'll lock my pets into place too.
Yeah, it's all about the science. It's not marketing spin.
Yeah, no, it's if that helps you visualize, Jason, kind of what we're.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I'm kind of been bouncing around, because when I've got kids, so we've done the car seat thing, and they're not allowed to move. They can move their ankles and their wrists, and that's about that's it. And so trying to
federal regulation,
right? So trying to imagine that. I mean, this has all been super eye-opening and fascinating to me. I definitely want to dig more and find our solution for our dogs. What are some other companies? You mentioned Gunner is definitely ahead of the pack. What are some other companies that, you can't broad statement say everything is good, but maybe to point us in the direction that they're working really hard to do this stuff?
I would say out of all of the companies that we have, examined their products, right? A company named Sleepypod is Sleepypod. They are at the head of the line as far as their level of research. They go to universities, they do studies. It is amazing how far ahead they are in comparison to other brands. They're even ahead of us at this point.
Oh, wow. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So
they've done research during their product development, their research and development cycles that we have not done yet. So I'm just sitting here going, okay, we've got to catch up now. And it all comes down to funding. That's the problem. As a nonprofit organization, we can only move as quickly as, what we have the funding to cover. So it will take some time, but we will get there.
And when we're talking about development, here are some major blaring things that I always notice when I'm watching CPS videos and or researching products to send to my clients. I'm like, here's a great product and here's their crash test. So you can actually see they're crash tested, because I'm that dog trainer. But things that you might not think about, when you're putting a harness on your dog with just a regular, those tether restraints, it's the reason why your regular dog walking harness is not designed for this plastic housing. Why I find on the CPS, the plastic clips, the little buckles, those things explode. So I usually, it's if I'm looking for vehicle, if I see plastic, I'm nope, because I've seen plastic get destroyed. Yeah. But things you don't even think about, stitching, threading, the way it's held together. Does it have sufficient threading? I have a few of the Sleepypod products. Their harnesses, they're first of all, the straps are this thick. And they have so much stitching on them because that sucker is going to stay together. It's not going to just the threads aren't going to peel apart. in a 30-mile-per-hour accident, which sounds so slow. But again, the amount of pressure being created, think about that. It's going to explode your plastic clips and rip apart threading. That's powerful. That's impact. But that's why your seatbelt, like if you ever look at a seatbelt in your vehicle, like the stitching on that sucker is crazy.
Yeah. And it's, again, the brands that are ahead of the pack, right? They've done the research and we've tested the products. The stitching and, like you said, the plastics are all very, very important components. We don't want the plastics. We prefer strength rated, metal materials or clasps. But some of the brands that are ahead, they're actually engaging energy mitigation techniques into the products.
What does that mean?
Further protect the dog.
Mean?
Energy. So if you think about it, if you've got a regular harness, right, all of the energy that is during a crash goes into the dog. If they just got a regular harness on. Well, so there's planned breakage designed into these more advanced products so that it actually reduces the force and that energy into your dog. So it actually offers more protection.
So like in car crashes, they're called crumple zones. So it's areas that are designed to absorb the energy so that it doesn't get applied to the steering wheel into your chest.
Agreed. Planned breakage, planned failures, things of that nature. We don't see that in most of the brands that are out there, but we do see it in a very, very small assortment of companies that are working to get there.
So anybody else besides Sleepypods?
Sleepypod is, again, they have energy mitigation in their product. It is, we see it post-test and it's fascinating how they've designed this. So I know Zugopet has been working very diligently on their Rocketeer pack. That's not for every dog.
It's the one they were on Shark Tank. They're like, the dog sits out of the chair actually, so they don't even get the impact of they just kind of float there. It's very cute.
Yeah, well, they had it approved by, and that's something we required. It's like, orthopedic veterinary surgeons needed to look at the product before we would even consider certifying it. It did perform well in testing, but is it safe for the dog? And we do have the proof that it is safe for the dog. That's published on our website as well. What other brands? We've got, carriers. Again, Sleepypod. We've got Away, which is the first luggage company to come along. Wow. And it's a beautiful carrier. It's really lovely. And we've got other brands. Like I said, we are going to be announcing a fair amount of additions here in the near future. So we're very excited we can expand on the list this year.
But I haven't noticed any big names popping up. Like, it doesn't sound like going down to the local big box store, that's going to be your safest bet.
That is not your safest bet. We don't recommend that. It is truly terrifying when we start looking at the products from the big corporate side. Again, you've got to realize they've got
readily available. Like, that's what's scary too. It's like, that's the thing that's in everybody's face. Right. And it's putting your pet and potentially the members of your family in grave danger. Okay, unfortunately, that is our show.
Oh, no.
I know. It went so fast. I knew it would. Like, this is literally I find this to be one of the most fascinating topics. But Lindsey, if you haven't had the pleasure of listening to one of our episodes yet, we close each one of our episodes in a very, very special way. So I'm going to hand it over to Jasen. This is really where he shines. So, Mr.
This is the best. This is where my best comes out, Sylvia.
I didn't say. I said this is your moment. Oh, this is like you have to do this.
Okay. Are you ready?
Lindsey, are you?
What's that?
She's ready. She's ready.
All right. I'm getting focused. What kind of dog wears contact lenses?
I don't know.
A cockeyed spaniel.
Ouch.
That one was actually good. Hashtag dog dad jokes. Yeah. Special.
We really are going to
You're going to need to do that. Lindsey, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your knowledge.
Genuinely thank you for putting up with my completely uneducated and backyard questions. Like I think there's a lot of people that are still probably at least I hope I'm not completely alienated out of all the dog owners, but this has been eye-opening for me.
Yeah. If you go to our website, you can watch all the videos you want. We are going to be launching a new website, hopefully mid-year. That will be streamlined, a little bit easier for people to navigate, but we will still have all the test evidence up there for pet owners to look at.
Perfect.
Amazing. We're going to link that in the show notes. Lindsey, again, thank you so much for all of your time today and for educating all of our beautiful listeners. Until next time, definitely next time. There's got to be a next time.
I want to thank everybody, especially want to thank Lindsey for coming in and really kind of changing my perception, and I'm sure a lot of other people's perception on pet safety and what we can do to keep not only ourselves, but our fur kids safe. And then I want to thank everybody, as always, for joining us on today's podcast. This one's going to be really important. Everything that we've talked about, links and some products and all that kind of stuff are going to be included on the show notes over at thedogishpodcast.com. So make sure to definitely check that out. And then give us a follow, give a Dog Up in This Bitch a follow, give Forever USA a follow, and absolutely go over and check out CPS and give them a follow as well. And as always, if there's a topic personality that you would love to hear on our show, please let us know. I had somebody reach out, tell us yesterday, Sylvia, look into a harness company, believe it or not.
Ooh.
Works with vets and stuff like that. So we might
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm excited. Also, don't mind my pantomiming. This is just how I'm going to be included in the outro from now on. Like when you're talking, I'll just be like I'll be like talking with my body.
Isn't it like voguing? Like
I don't know. Was it distracting? I feel like it was pretty distracting. I apologize.
Well, I would imagine that our iTunes listeners are happy that they are not watching YouTube.
Don't watch it. Don't go to YouTube, and definitely don't hit the subscribe button.
Like we are on iTunes and we are on Spotify. We are on YouTube, the website, like
we're everywhere.
Dogish is just,
we're taking over the internet.
And while this is a pre-recorded show, we're going through the experience right now that we just hit top 34 show. And we're only 11 episodes in and we've recorded like 24 episodes. So we're coming for that top 5 spot. I see it.
Okay. We couldn't do it without you guys, our listeners. So we so appreciate all of you for being here and loving us the way that we love you, and chatting with you all and sharing amazing, great information like what we just learned from Lindsey today. So until next week.
Until next time.
We'll be right here. Bye.